Mo mansion living room. Despite it being midsummer, the room felt so cold that people's teeth chattered. Speak. Where did you take Xiaobao? Mo Yihan kicked the woman on the ground, his eyes fierce like a wild beast.
The woman, with delicate makeup now disheveled, climbed up and clung to Mo Yihan's leg. I don't know. I took him to the mall. Who knew he would run around? Mo Yihan's fingers tightened on the woman's chin, each word carrying a murderous intent. You really didn't take my words to heart. If Xiaobao is harmed even a bit, you'll bear 10 times the consequences. Why are you still standing there? Go find him. Mo's elderly mother was furious. If you can't find Xiaobao, don't bother coming back. Mo Yihan, left with his son after his son and daughter-in-law died in a car accident, managed the Mo group well. However, he refused to marry, almost driving his grandmother crazy. 3 years ago, he suddenly brought home a child, along with a DNA test confirming the child was his. Adding a new member to the family is a joyous occasion. As long as the child's mother is sensible, she can enter the Mo family. But Mo Yihan never mentioned the child's mother. My Xiaobao has autism and can't speak. What if he encounters bad people? The elderly lady wept. My little grandson. Mr. Mo gave his wife a soothing look, then glared at Mo Yihan. Find the child first, we'll deal with this woman later. Beep beep beep. Mo Yihan's phone rang, a distress signal from Xiaobao with GPS coordinates. To the company building. His expression changed abruptly. He turned and hurriedly left, followed by assistant by Yuan and a group of bodyguards. In the Mo Group building's elevator control room, it was dark, with only the faint glow of a mobile phone. Where's the ring? Lu Tong wiped sweat from her forehead, using her phone as a light to search. We need to leave quickly. Lu Tong picked up the child and ran desperately, the small figure clinging tightly to her arm. With the elevator door getting closer, Lu Tong's heart tightened. She tried to kick it open, but after 2 attempts, the door didn't budge. She was dumbfounded. Someone had locked the door from outside. The descending sound of the elevator became louder. Lu Tong, anxious, looked at the shivering child. Glancing around, her eyes suddenly lit up. Stay still, don't move. Lu Tong put the child down and reached for the ventilation grill. Stay still, don't move. Lu Tong put the child down and reached for the ventilation grill. Humans have infinite explosive power. She managed to break the grill with her bare hands, quickly placing the child in the narrow space. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Lu Tong reassured the little one. She grabbed the broken grill, attempting to pass through, but halfway through, a strong airflow pressed down. Her vision darkened, and she fainted. Ding! The rapidly descending elevator suddenly stopped. Mo Yihan, with a grim face, entered. The people behind him were tense. If something happened to the young master, they wouldn't survive. Xiaobao. He walked over, lifting Xiaobao from the ventilation opening, checking for injuries. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. Let's go home. Xiaobao held onto Mo Yihan, pointing to Lu Tong on the ground, eyes filled with urgency. Because everyone's attention was on Xiaobao, they didn't notice the person lying on the ground. Lu Tong's hair scattered in the strong airflow, like silk on the ground. She lay pale, resembling a sleeping beauty in distress. She was Sun Xiaoxiao's assistant. Today, they were at Mo Group for an ad shoot. Sun Xiaoxiao's ring fell in the elevator, forcing Lu Tong to find it. Rustle rustle, a sound came from a dark corner. Who's there? Lu Tong nervously called out, images of gruesome crime scenes flashing in her mind. She felt a cold sweat on her back, her voice trembling. Who's there? Silence, only her voice echoed. She saved you. Mo Yihan saw Lu Tong's bloody hands and the broken ventilation grill. He handed Xiaobao to Bai Yuan, realizing the situation. Let's get her home. Run! Lu Tong, sitting up with a start, grabbed the blanket, sweat pouring down her forehead. Child, run! You're awake. The deep voice seemed to come from a distant place, but it carried a reassuring charm. Lu Tong's blurry eyes gradually focused, and the surroundings became clearer: large French windows, luxurious European decor. Everything seemed like a scene from a TV show. Is this a dream within a dream? Lu Tong was confused. Wipe off the sweat. That pleasant voice again, and at the same time, a pair of slender fingers handed a tissue in front of her. Following the smooth and clean fingertips, Lu Tong's gaze moved upward. The owner of the fingers was a handsome man, standing against the light. His features were somewhat blurred, but his deep eyes were like a deep-sea whirlpool. Maybe it's her imagination. Lu Tong bit her lip, turned to leave, finding no ring. Rustle, rustle, the sound continued. Who is it? Lu Tong mustered courage, walked a few steps, and used her phone's light to scan the wall corner. She froze. A 2- or 3-year-old child cowered in the corner, eyes wide with fear, trembling. Don't be afraid. She approached slowly, comforting. Don't be scared, Auntie will take you out of here. The child was thin and small, but their eyes shone remarkably, even in the darkness. Lu Tong felt a sudden crack in her heart. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, there was a rumble from above. Lu Tong was stunned. Earlier, she had placed a barrier at the elevator entrance while searching for the ring. They must have finished inspecting and restarted the elevator.
Ding! The elevator, which was descending rapidly, suddenly stopped. Muihan came in with a livid face. Everyone following him was trembling. If something happened to the young master, they would not have to live. Xiaobao. He strode forward and took Xiaobao out of the vent. He carefully checked to make sure he was not injured, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go home. Xiaobao grabbed Muihan and pointed at Lu Tong on the ground, his eyes pleading anxiously. Because everyone's attention was focused on Xiaobao just now, they didn't notice that there was another person lying on the ground. Lu Tong's hair was blown away by the strong airflow and spread on the ground like silk. She lay on it with a pale face, like a sleeping beauty on the phone. She saved you? Muihan saw Lu Tong's hands dripping with blood, and then looked at the broken vent railing. He understood immediately, handed the little treasure to Bai Yuan, went over, and bent down to save the person. Picked up, it's very light. Run. Lu Tong grabbed the quilt with both hands and sat up suddenly, sweat dripping down her forehead. Run, kid. You're awake. The deep voice seemed to come from far away, but it had a reassuring magic. She saved you? Muihan saw Lu Tong's hands dripping with blood, and then looked at the broken vent railing. He understood immediately, handed the little treasure to Bai Yuan, went over, and bent down to save the person. Picked up, it's very light. Run. Lu Tong's chaotic eyes gradually regained focus, and the surrounding scene gradually became clear. The large floor-to-ceiling windows, luxurious European decoration, everything seemed like a scene that only appeared on TV. Is it a dream within a dream? Lu Tong was a little confused. Wipe the sweat. It was that nice voice again, and at the same time, a pair of slender fingers handed a tissue to the front. Lu Tong's eyes followed the round and clean fingertips, and she saw that the owner of the fingers was a very good-looking man. He stood against the light, his facial features were a little blurry, but his eyes were like whirlpools in the deep sea. Still dreaming? Lu Tong murmured. She dreamed of a luxurious mansion, groups of servants, and a handsome man. At this moment, the wind blew in from the open window, drying the cold sweat on his body, and letting the coolness penetrate into his pores. She shivered hard, and the illusion disappeared instantly, and everything in front of her was real. Where is this? Why am I here? Lu Tong lifted the quilt and sat up, pressed her hands on the bed, and immediately bounced back. She frowned in pain. It hurts. Both of her palms were wrapped in gauze, with blood faintly seeping out. Butler, call the doctor. Muihan frowned. No. No need. Lu Tong waved her hands repeatedly. She took a breath, widened her eyes and saw the person in front of her clearly, and exclaimed, Muihan? What Sun Xiaoxiao was shooting this time was a jewelry advertisement for the Mu Group. As a very dedicated agent, Lu Tong knew all the information about the sponsor in advance. Muihan, 28 years old, is the president of Xingzi Entertainment Group. He is a godlike existence in Age City, but he is cold, arbitrary and domineering. P.S. He has an illegitimate son whose biological mother is unknown. But even so, he is still the dream lover and national husband of all women in H City, and there is an endless stream of women who want to climb into his bed. It's me. Muihan said calmly, you saved my son.